The Comedy Store would like you to know that the views and opinions expressed on this podcast are strictly those of the speakers or authors and do not necessarily reflect or represent the views and opinions held by the Comedy Store and its affiliates.
Is it on? There's the thumbs up. You know, you might want to clean the window properly so I can see it. You feel me? You feel me? I mean, you see it, right? Am I crazy?
I see the shit.
When I get Juan Carlos, I'm going to be like, listen, motherfucker, we got a window here.
Yeah.
Guys, this is a Comedy Store podcast. You know how we do it, kamikaze style. We don't even fucking introduce people, but I will today because we have the great Ryan Sickler.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
By the way,
wore this for you.
We talking about practice?
Wore that for you.
We're going to talk about practice. So we were in Miami. I was opening for Dice. And we do those little videos, you know.
I love them. I watch
so
every
much
one
fun,
of yours. Yeah.
Right? So we're in this really nice 5-star restaurant, whatever the stars are. I don't know. The highest one. And they stayed open, waited for our show to end. So it was just me and him in this restaurant. And we start arguing about something.
For real or on a video?
For real,
okay.
So he starts videoing it. So because usually it's like it'll just start happening, and then he's like, you know. So the waiter came over, and he got the waiter involved, and he's like, I don't know why she won't. Oh, that's just what it was, because he wanted me to. He goes, she won't help me practice going on a date with a girl, because he was about to have a date with this girl, and he wanted to practice. And I go, we're talking about practice. We're gonna talk about practice, and I kept saying
Of course,
it.
you should.
And the waiter's dying, and Andrew's like, what are you talking about?
He had no idea.
Nothing.
How's he missed that cultural moment?
Well, he doesn't watch sports.
Yeah.
But if you need, like the Super Bowl, for instance, I go, hey, because I have been watching games where he's like, they're going to intercept it and run it back. And I'm like, you don't even know what that means. And then they'll intercept it and run it back. And I'm like, fuck. And so I said, who's going to win the Super Bowl? He goes, I can't tell you. I'm like, what? He goes, I just know it's going to be by 3. And it was fucking this piece of shit. He doesn't know who's in the game.
How it's played.
He goes, oh, I had dinner with the Raiders. I go, the whole team?
Yeah, the whole fucking team.
Are you going to be specific? And he goes, oh, wait, it wasn't them. And then his ex-wife, now ex-wife, but then wife, yells down, it was the Rams. And I'm like, oh, my God. Yeah, so you're not. Are you an Iverson fan, a Sixers fan?
I'm an Iverson fan.
Okay,
sure.
same.
Yeah,
and I love the Sixers too, but I'm a huge Iverson
fan. I'm Baltimore all day, but I loved Allen Iverson. And I love that moment.
Yeah.
I love that fucking moment.
What's the basketball county in Maryland that they say it's like the Mecca? There's something in the water, like
well, there's a high school called Dunbar.
Kevin Durant.
Well, where Durant played is in, it's...
They call it like the county, county.
Yeah, no, it's, oh, God, I'm gonna lose my card for this. But it's PG County, Prince George's County.
Prince George, that's what I couldn't think of the name.
But I can't remember the fucking school now. But yeah, and then there's high school Dunbar in Baltimore where like Muggsy Bogues and Dominique Wilkins and guys played, you know. But it was funny because back then they would be like, how are you getting all these good guys just from the same neighborhood, but one would live with an aunt, you know what I mean? They'd all get in there and then start tearing up. But they were known for, they would put their nuts on the table. They would go to Alaska and play. They were like, we'll come play you wherever the fuck you want to be played.
Yeah, because Len Bias was...
Well, he was the University of Maryland.
Okay, but he was drafted, but I heard
he went to the Celtics and went home that night, cocaine and dead. Like that was, honest to God, I was 10 or 11. I'm on the way to the dentist with my dad, and that shit comes on the radio. And I remember as a kid, like, a lot of people.
He didn't grow up there. In my head, I put him
he was a
there. Maryland
kid.
Okay,
okay. But not. I don't think he played at Dunbar though. I forget where he went to school, but he played at Maryland and was just a hometown kid, legend, and then goes and does this. But he was unfortunately, our Say No to Drugs campaign. Like, you see this guy who's built like a Greek fucking god.
Right.
And then all of a sudden it becomes like, if it can happen to that, look at him.
Right.
If it can happen to that, your little tiny ass.
Yeah.
What's going to happen
What
to
are you going to do? How you going to hold it?
And that was our fucking say no to drugs. That was the beginning of the crack, cocaine, all that shit coming out, moving forward. Yeah, it was
we
scary.
didn't have one. I'm just kidding. They were
You
like,
just had
say
to open
yes.
air market. Yeah.
Say yes. You go talk about practice? Anyway, but I can't tell you how excited I am.
That's nice.
To have you on the comedy set. No, because you know how long have you been doing stand-up? Let's just start there.
I mean, the first time I ever even tried it, I was 20. So
Whoa.
1993, and I only did it for like 3 or 4 months.
Okay.
And then life happened. Like my dad was
Sure.
already dead. My grandmother dies now.
Lot
Now
of
let's
dead
go to
people.
work. It was a lot of death, and then it was work until I was 27.
Right.
Or excuse me. Wait, hold on. I moved here in 97, so I was 24 and started in 99. So I was 26.
Okay.
So I started performing. Other than like, I only went to one open mic, and it was at a place in the valley that's no longer there anymore. Oh, it'll come back to me too. I met Tripoli there.
Oh, of the best.
And
love
then I
him.
started doing bringer shows right after that.
And how did
and
you
then
get
came
people
here
to come? How did
22
you get
years ago.
bringers?
I always had a job. I worked
okay.
as a PA in production. I always made people laugh and shit. And I'd be like, I'm a comic. If you guys ever want to come see a show. So like a couple would come.
Yeah,
you
I
know?
guess, yeah, but that's good. You could get
I
4 or
could
5
get 3
people.
or 4, but not all the time, so you don't do all that shit. And then they were like,
Right.
you got to pay. I'm like, I'm not paying you for stage. I'm never paying you for stage.
I've done it. I've paid.
I mean, we lose enough doing these goddamn shows. Now you want me to give you fucking money, So L.A. Cabaret was the name of that
Oh,
place
yeah,
in the
yeah,
valley.
yeah,
Remember
yeah.
that? It was a
Of
nice
course.
club, too, in
Yeah.
Encino. It was a really nice club. It had 2 rooms.
Okay. I just remember the name. I don't think I ever went.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't doing stand-up.
But I would come here on Sunday nights and do belly room shows and shit like
Okay.
that for years.
Was it with Adam
Yep,
Barnhart?
that's exactly who it was
Yay.
with. Yep.
And
he would go up and fucking do like, I don't know, a cold 45 off the top. I'm not even kidding.
You think I don't know
Not
Adam? I've
even
known Adam
kidding.
since '93, cuz. Just up there. And then when I started doing stand-up,
Up
I'm like,
there.
oh, wow, up there. And then he would host and
Yes.
do those 45 in between.
In between. Yeah.
But what I loved about Adam is like, say he went on after you,
Mm-hmm.
he'd be like, oh, you know that bit you do? And then he'd do it, expand it, and make it better. I'm like, you piece of shit.
He would do this some nights, so he would go, you fuck. You
Oh.
fuck. You fucking fuck. And just say fuck for like 3 minutes. And I'm like, what the fuck
You
is
fuck,
it?
with that Texas accent. Oh, what is
Yeah.
It's so fucking funny.
So I was in here doing shows forever for a long time.
Yeah, because I feel like I'm like, this guy needs to be in, and I don't know why he's here.
Am I
and
allowed
not
to say
here.
what happened to me?
Please.
Well, it was really nothing big. I mean, after a few years, I started doing what was it called on Monday nights? Friends and
Friends and family.
Yep. And
You know,
I
like we're a phone company.
right. Yep. And I consistently came, and I believe it was 7 p.m. start time. And I
Of
know the sun
course.
was up. It was in the summer. The sun was up. There'd be 3 or 4 people in the room, maybe.
Yeah.
Some foreigners that were here because they're on a tour.
Right.
They're not here for the comedy. They don't even know what the fuck we're saying. And I
They're
would
just like, this is where the celebrities come.
Yeah,
And then
exactly.
Ryan comes up, they're like, yeah, that's not him.
no, we don't know who that is.
We're
And
going back to Ukraine. Hey.
It was always
Yeah.
Eastern Bloc. It was always Eastern Bloc. Okay.
It's so great. It's always
Bunch of Czech motherfuckers
Yeah,
in here
you're
like,
like,
with that haircut from the guys like in the Scorpions and
Do
shit.
they have Groupons for
Like,
you
come
guys?
on, man.
Like,
You here for the ghost tour?
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, just-
all right.
they have ghosts?
Right,
Okay.
yeah.
Yes.
So I got caught up in the whole Tommy situation where he was like,
Wow.
"Hey, you're
Not just
consistent,
that.
and I'm gonna start putting you on Mondays." And I was
Well,
like,
you
"Great."
got the right skin color.
So then I started doing my Mondays, and he would record it and tell me he was going to send it to Mitzi, and then a month would go by, and it wouldn't
Did you
happen.
give him weed?
No.
Never.
And then again,
Wow.
he would record, and it would go to Mitzi, and
Then he liked you, but
I'm like, "Can you fucking? Why do you have to keep recording me?
right.
Send the tape." Back then, it was a tape. I could say that.
Well, it wouldn't
Send
be
the tape.
send it.
Like-
He would bring it to
Right.
the house.
Bring it to the tape.
But-
Why do you have to keep recording me?
In his
You
defense,
have the tape.
I'll say this. He would go to the house and she'd be like, "Oh, I don't want to watch that shit." Because her health
Sure.
was declining. So you kind of got screwed on a
And a little
Tommy
bit of
was
that,
kind of
and
taking
it
over.
also started happening with the whole Rogan-Mencia battle, and then from the shit I heard, no, wait, I'm wrong about that. The you just said it, the right color. That's what it was. It was the Better Business Bureau or Fair.
Oh, he should have been called. They should have been called.
It came down on. I thought they did. I thought eventually they came down on him.
No. It was just we would just check them ourselves.
Yeah.
And comics. I think Doc Willis went after him a couple times.
Yeah, I know somebody did. Yeah.
A lot of people did. It was just.
So I got caught up in a lot of that mess and everything, and then after 3 times recording me over the 5 months I did it, I was like, man, you're a mess, dude.
Yeah.
You're a mess. And that was it.
It was hard to take because anybody that like Tommy was good to me. He was good to Rick. Like we always joke about that.
He was never bad to me. Just
it was but he would bullshit people. Like he would say things like, well, I don't know if the building likes you. And you're like, wait, what? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Did you see my show? Like, I don't understand what you're saying. Does the building hug you? Hey, good job, So it was like he would make these weird things up that he thought Mitzi would say to you.
Mm-hmm.
And then he took them on as his own and started this power trip. Like Mitzi had passed comics and she was like, these are my babies, right? And she was a little nutty butters, God bless her. She's probably here listening, but she knows, like, she would have been an amazing wrestling coach, like the WWE.
Oh, yeah. like her, like a female Lou Albano or some shit like that.
I got an idea. Like Maj Jabrani, when he got passed, she was like, you got to wear a turban. He's like, wait, what? I don't do that. You know what I mean? Like, she would always put you, she had these little theme shows. It was kind of like wacky, her own little whack. Like, there was this guy, she was like, she wanted to call him Jackie Banana, and she would make him wear a yellow jacket with a sequence banana. This is a fully grown man that's like, I really don't want to wear the jacket. But then he needed the stage time. So she'd see him on in the main room, and she'd be like, where's his jacket?
That's all she cared about, where the fucking jacket is.
The guy's killing.
Yeah, so I got caught up in a lot of that shit.
Wait, who is this guy?
And then Emily, thank goodness, Emily LaFord.
Yeah. And unfortunately, like Adam's takeover, because when you said Rogan and Mencia, you meant like Rogan coming back, or?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That was the beginning of Tommy finally getting out and the changeover happening.
Yeah.
That was really where I was. And
I mean, he was also
fucking
stealing from the place.
Yeah, and then there was that, I was told too. That's what he actually got caught on.
Yeah.
That's
because
what it was.
Because they were
embezzling, I think they call it.
I don't think they fire you for racism. Just
well, you take my money. You can hate people, but don't you fucking touch my money.
But he had been doing it for years, and like one night, and this is so silly, but
that is true. He really was stealing. Like, we're not just saying
he
some shit.
said, no, it's facts. Like, they have it on video. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, they caught him. But here's the thing. Like, I can't say he's the only one that ever did that here.
Sure.
Okay? So,
sure.
Again, this is all in his defense. Because this place was run by the inmates for years. Mm-hmm. Mitzi's health was declining. Everybody just assumed she was in charge. But she wasn't. The inmates were running the asylum. Like, it was a chaos. It was pure chaos. We call it the dark years or the dead years.
Yeah.
Also the greatest times ever. And, I mean, because nobody was watching. We had this place to ourselves. It was insane.
Yeah.
So if we had any business, the door guys had their own thing. The cover booth had their own thing. So it wasn't like coming out. And then he actually said, Mitzi told me I could take from here. And I was like, really? And he said it to Paulie. And then Paulie one time he goes, I bet you my mom did say, okay. Because she was wacky like that. Like a comic robbed her. Literally at gunpoint robbed her.
Really?
In the height of the 80s boom.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money she had on her.
Yeah, I'll bet.
And she knew who it was. And
would he wear a mask or something?
He wore a mask.
Oh, he did. He did.
She
try
knew
to hide
exactly who he was. And you know what? When they were like, you want to press charges? She goes, no, just give him some main room spots. Because he's hurting. That's how the fucking crazy bitch was.
Do you know who it was?
Yes. I don't do that. Not on the internet.
Later.
Not online, But she told me that story, and she was like, they're hurt, and then that's how comics are. She had that that was the beauty of Mitzi. She did have that love for the fucked up,
The mentally ill.
of comedy.
We're something
We
wrong
are
with
mentally
us.
ill.
Look, what we do is different. It's fun. It's unique. It brings people joy.
It brings us misery.
But for real. But to want to get up in front of rooms full of strangers every fucking night, week after week, there's something wrong with you.
100%.
And not just to speak to them. The hardest thing. It's
Open up
easy to
to
get them
them.
to hate you.
Open
It's
up.
You can go out right now and go, fuck everyone, boo, right away.
We talk about
Win them
practice,
over.
motherfuckers. Yeah.
Make them fucking laugh and like you. You don't even like your fucking self.
Yeah.
How are you going to fucking do that? What
People are
a
like,
challenge.
Yeah, they're like, you're amazing. I'm
We're
like,
fucking.
are we?
Yeah.
Am
Come
I?
home and watch me.
Want to see the scars? I cut all day.
But I mean,
Yeah.
it's a very, I also say this all the time, stand-up, specifically stand-up comedy is a very selfish act. It is a solo sport, and we have left family, relationships, jobs,
100%.
money on the table,
Oh,
all
lots
of
of money
it,
on the table.
all of it to do this very selfish act. So it's hard to juggle normal people. You know, you got like, oh, my wife's a nurse. Like, how the fuck's that poor woman dealing with anything we're bringing up?
You know how many times, and you know how many comics are married to nurses, and I'm like,
Is it? I just made that
does
up.
she just give you prescriptions all day? Because you fucked up. Like,
Yeah.
I know at least 4 that are married to nurses.
Maybe
and
that's
I'm
the
like,
way to go. Caretakers.
What? 100%. Sure, they're going to be there. But this is what I admire about you, amongst a lot of things, is that, like, a lot of people put all their emphasis on, I got to be a Comedy Store fucking paid regular. If not, it doesn't work, right? But you have a fucking giant career without this play. No offense to the Comedy Store, but, like, because you should never put everything in one. It's awesome to be here. It's great. But at the same time, it's like.
First of all, thank you for saying that. Because
that's a real thing, though.
It is a real thing. 22 years has gone by. And it's funny because Brian Simpson said to me, he said, does it still mean something to you? And I was like, fuck yeah, it means
It's a good
something
idea.
to me. You
I
know,
mean,
like,
that's a good.
I had a kid when I was 41. It still meant
Okay.
something to me, but it meant something different to me. So when I started doing this in my 20s, I thought about my name on that wall like everybody else did.
Of course.
But then I wanted everyone and anyone to see it. Now, I swear to you, all I give a fuck about is if my kids and their kids see it. Because what else? When Richard Pryor
Interesting.
died,
Yeah,
he was
yeah.
the fucking corner of a fucking People magazine, the upper right corner. That's it.
Wow.
One of the greatest in our art form ever.
100%.
And that's all he fucking gets. So, in the end, I hope that my kids, my family, my friends see that out there more than somebody that's coming from somewhere else. Like, whatever. But also, you're right. You know, and I say this to the younger comedians because there are some comedians that have told me, like, my whole goal in comedy is to get my name on that wall. And I said, look, it's a great goal.
It's
It
cool.
is. It's one of my goals. It's cool.
It's cool.
It's cool. It's an honorary thing. It's a special thing. But also,
It's not the only.
just doing 15 minutes, like you could have a killer motherfucking 15 minutes that wipes that room out in the main room.
Yeah.
But if you can't go do an hour in the Midwest and sell tickets, you
Ooh.
ain't shit.
Selling tickets is a tough one.
Being a 15-minute Comedy Store comedian is not being a stand-up comedian.
Right.
It's a spot at the store. Like back in the day when television was a thing, you would try
Remember
like
TV?
right? You would try to get a TV clean late
Oh, yeah.
night set.
Do you have a clean
5,
set?
6
That's what
minute
people would
set.
say. Do you have a clean
TV
set?
clean set. Great. Then it was okay. What about a Comedy Central clean set? Okay, great. Then
These aren't on. Okay. Anyway, sorry.
one's red, one's green.
I don't see nothing. Okay,
then
go ahead.
Then it's doing a 15-minute set now.
Yeah.
Getting a 15-minute set here. But again, you got to be able to sell tickets and then go out and crush for an hour on
Selling
the fucking
tickets.
road. That's what a comedian is.
100%.
There's
What
a lot of
headliner
comedians
is.
that can.
By the way, that's what a
You're right.
headliner is.
You're right. There's a lot of comedians that can do 15 minutes in here, but nowhere else.
Yeah, a headliner puts asses in the seats.
That's
One
it.
time, this guy in Wildwood, New Jersey, who was hysterical. You know when you find those club owners that are just fucking amazing?
Yes.
You know, and he called himself the Don. Like, hilarious.
I remember this guy. You told me about this guy.
He was so
the
fucking
dog,
great,
yeah.
right? With his in Wildwood. Wildwood, New Jersey, in this little hole in the wall. He had a great club. And he would headline like Jim Norton and Jim Florentine when they were nobody, you know? And so I was opening for Dom Irera, and he goes, do you want a headline? And there was these other older comics that had been around for a long time. And I said, well, I mean, yeah, I can do an hour, but I don't know if I can fill your seats. And you need to have both in my head to be a headliner. And he go, and this older gentleman goes, thank you for saying that. Because the guy was being nice, but I was like, I honestly, like maybe because my whole family is right here, that could be my bringer headlining show.
Right.
You know, I could get my family to come out, but nobody's, you know, people aren't, this isn't going to be like, oh, Eleanor's headlining. Because this was it was like 14 years ago.
Yeah.
And I'm only in it 15 years. Right. This is my anniversary this month. I know I'm late. I started late.
That's okay.
An asshole. You would think,
I
looking at
late.
me, I've been in it since the 1800s.
I started. 27.
That's late. I was like, yeah.
So you're right. And I, but yeah, I've always wanted to have my name here. It is.
You keep putting your name out there, especially now with like social media and stuff like that. And I'm terrible at it. I know I'm terrible at it. I get that you have to do it. I have some following. I steal Dice's fans. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, because if I open for him, that club will bring me back. Not the theaters don't do it as much, but if I'm working in that city, I just hit all those people back up. Like, hey, I'm going to do a longer set. I'm going to be at this club, you know, or I would have the club advertise, you just saw her with Dice. You know what I mean? Like, so I'll get certain markets. I do okay, but.
Well, also a thing that people ask me about, like, 22 years, right? Well, silver lining, it made me a better comedian not to be passed here quickly.
Yeah.
Because two things it made me do. It made me go to other spots and work my shit out.
Work your ass off.
So that when I got my belly room spot or my main room spot that was produced by someone else, I was ready. And when I came in this building,
and you brought it.
I brought it so that in case anybody was watching, they saw that this guy that's not a regular consistently comes in this building and does what he's supposed to fucking do.
100%.
My job.
100%.
And then it makes you hustle and start building longer sets. I would have maybe rested and because also in LA where you don't get,
you get spoiled.
Yeah, but you also get 15-minute spots everywhere.
Yes.
Every fucking place.
Yeah.
So you get used to 15 until you get out to feature your first time. You're like, oh shit, this is 10 more minutes, 15 more. Oh, it's double here. Okay.
Half hour. Ooh.
All right. And then you get the hour. Yeah. And then it gets harder to do your 15s after a while and your 10s because you're like, what fraction of this hour am I going to take and throw up here tonight, you know?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like I don't see a lot of that. People, like, I used to drive, do you remember Burger?
Yeah.
Love Burger,
yeah.
Right? And when I first started, he was like, hey, I have this place out in Baker. And I'm like, you run a bar show in Baker? How do you even fucking know where it is, right? But that was Burger. He was a hustler.
Isn't that the world's tallest thermometer, Baker?
I don't know,
out
but
there
there was
on the way
a
to
prison
Vegas,
across
right? Yeah.
Oh, wait, what? Bakersfield.
Oh, Bakersfield.
Not Baker.
Yeah,
Baker's on the way to Vegas. You're right, with the thermometer. I'm like, wait, that's not
but
where
yeah,
it was.
Bakersfield, Fresno, Dana Point,
Yes.
San Diego. Back on a Tuesday.
You drove the
down
Tuesday.
And back. Down and
It's
back.
Tuesday,
and now
folks.
I hear these people like, I don't want to come to Santa Monica to do your podcast. I'm like, but you'll come do a coffee house motherfucking show over here, though? Are you for real? Yeah, you get a lot of that shit. Like Tony Hawk drove up to do my podcast.
Amazing,
from
by
San
the way.
Diego. I go, did you have some other work up here? He goes, no, I came up here to do this. I was like,
I love that.
Let me tell you.
How did you do that?
That's all through Jason Ellis.
Oh, yeah. By the way, I've been seeing him a
He's
lot now.
fantastic.
Is he doing stand-up everywhere?
Yeah, he's just starting to work on it and stuff. But, like, legit going to work on it. Ha-ha, and getting into the clubs.
Yeah, I saw him at the
really
Laugh
working
Factory.
Laugh
I saw him
Factory.
bouncing around. I was like,
Yep.
all right, good for you,
I told
man.
Josh you should do Comedy Jam and maybe just get your feet wet in this building a little bit. I brought him to do a guest spot in La Jolla when I headlined down there.
Okay.
So he's doing good. But I didn't deal with an agent. I didn't deal with PR or a manager. It was Tony Hawk. No, I mean on his end.
Oh.
Yeah. This guy's messaging me, but I don't know yet, but I'll know Monday. I'll let you know. Monday, let you know. I'll be there Wednesday at this time. Boom, he's there. And I'm like, I can't get a
Tony
fucking comic.
fucking Hawk.
Yeah. And of all the
Wow.
people who've earned the right to be an asshole, it's you, and you're the nicest fucking guy, which speaks volumes about where you are and
100%.
why. You know?
100%. Yeah.
So going back to being here, like, I love it. I'm pleasantly surprised. People have been like really welcoming.
They know you, but they
and
know you for a long time.
Yeah, it's been really sweet and nice. I wish everybody would stop fucking introducing me as the newest paid regular because it's been jinxing me. I'm telling you.
Well, I'll tell you what it is. It's like they get nervous. They're like, how do I make a big deal out of this? But you're right, I won't do it ever again. Did I do that to you the other night?
You didn't. I asked you not to, and you didn't. But you were fucking with me saying you were going to.
I remember. We got bumped? Who was there? I remember I came running in, and you were like, "Yeah, bitch, we got bumped."
Donnell came in.
That's right.
And I was like, "Don't worry, you got to run,
bitch. Calm down.
You can hang out here for a little bit.
Relax, ho. You ain't got
But
shit."
But it feels good. It feels nice to be here. It feels good to be accepted, and it feels good that it happened now too. And I love that Emily's the one that did it, because Emily and I go back 15, 17 fucking years in this business, and. It's also
people
it's nice
forget
to see
she's
people
been
climb.
around.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Like
she
people
has.
are like, who's I'm like, what are you talking
all
about?
All the way back to the Improv with
Yes.
Eric Abrams booking and stuff. Yeah, forever.
And Alex, yeah, I remember that. I loved it. She's just been busting her ass and trying. You know what I mean?
Well, it's also nice to see the power of booking back in a woman's hands. The first time since Mitzi did it. It's been a male ever since, right?
Yeah. Because, see, we always had, this is the weird part, we've always had talent coordinators, but they were literally just the people who took your avails. Mm-hmm. That's it. Like,
not created the lineups.
No. Mitzi, we had these sheets of paper, and the only reason I know it is because I've done every fucking job in here. I know,
that's why I keep asking you,
I have to clean that window. Right when we're done, I got to spray it down and wipe it so I can see Tony clearly. You know what I mean? Like, I'm an asshole. So I remember going up to the, I had to work with Scott Day. He was there when I started. He was the talent coordinator. And everyone was afraid of him, like the comics, because they were like, oh, Scott, I got to get Scott on my side. He'll put a good word in with Mitzi. Nobody could put a good word in with Mitzi. She did whatever the fuck she wanted. If you went up and said, hey, this guy, blah, 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 she would be like, oh, yeah. Like, she'd be suspicious. Like, why are you saying that? And then she'd fuck that guy over. You know what I mean? Like, she was in her own world. She did her own thing. She watched every show. She knew what the fuck was happening. She made the lineups the way she wanted, right? So now when Tommy started doing it, I was saying, like, we had these papers, everybody's name. So the comic would call in, you'd find it, check what days they were available, then you'd Xerox it and send it, either bring it to Mitzi's or she'd come in. Sometimes you'd have to bring it to her house. And then you tell her who called in. And then she'd put the papers out and she'd do the lineups for the week, the whole week. And then I'd say, hey, I remember like Duncan, this happened, like Duncan Trussell was a talent coordinator for a little bit. Not because he wanted to be, but because you remember Freddie Soto?
Yep.
Okay, so Freddie's wife, Corey Soto, was the talent coordinator.
Okay.
And he wanted to get married, and he was like, no more Comedy Store. We're getting married, So we were like, okay, you can't ever go to Mitzi with a problem, only a solution. So we were like, Duncan will do it.
Just nominating him. Oh, you never even talked.
Well, he was a phone guy.
Yeah.
So they were like, I guess Corey was like, dude, it'll be good job. It's easy. You just have to because you're not really booking the club.
Right. You're just wrangling the shit together to bring to Mitzi.
You're basically her assistant, And so he did it. And then after a while, he was like, she's not taking me serious as a comic. I got to get the fuck out of here. And she loved Duncan. She did. But like, then he took over. He did it for a while. But like, we would be like, hey, people are agents and managers would call for the lineups, and she'd go, don't give it to them. And I'm like, wait, why? And she's like, they're trying to steal my jams and jellies. I'm like, okay, crazy lady. But that was her thing. She was like, this is my club. Don't cross if I invite industry, fine, but I control it. She was very like, she wanted them to see who she liked. And it was never the mainstream.
I love
person.
That.
It's crazy, but it worked. You know what I mean? It was her.
It didn't just work. It was a juggernaut.
Yeah. Wow. That's a great word. Juggernaut.
Look at the names on that wall.
Oh, yeah.
There. It's insane. What they've all gone on to do.
Yeah.
I mean, Leno, Letterman, Murphy, Pryor, Carlin.
Crazy.
Jesus Christ.
Crazy.
If you just did those alone.
Carlin, I think, was already.
Was he?
And
he wasn't
I don't think he was a here guy when he took off. I'm not sure. I gotta think about that. I mean, because Carlin came back years later. I think he was like, yeah, I don't want to get
New York, maybe
15-minute spot. You know, I don't give a shit about that. I'm looking for something bigger. You know what I mean? Because he came back and did, I think it was like a week. Because we had one time we had Jackie Mason for 12 nights.
Wow.
So fucking great.
Wow.
Packed. Every Jew in Beverly Hills.
I'll bet. Just this triangle right here.
Everyone. I'll have a tea. Go fuck yourself. All right? Jam. And we had, with the fire marshal, I think it's $389 in the main room. I think. That's with the fire marshal. We had $405. I could even be going way too high, but we had $405 definitely in that room because they clicked it and the fire marshal showed up and we were like, hi, like, want a drink? They're like, no, we're here because, you know, my pants, I couldn't get through. They kept getting caught on tables and I had rips on the side of my pants. It was fucking amazing. And then George Carlin did 7 nights and we were freaking out. We were like, oh my God.
What year was that?
That's a good question. He had just had his, I think, second heart attack or first heart. He had the triple bypass, like he had his surgery, and it was one of his last specials he was working on, and he did it for 7 nights here. And we were every night. I'd be backstage
every night in the
every
main
night
room?
in the main room.
Wow,
fucking incredible. It was the 90s, maybe late 90s, because me and Lauren were here.
I hope I wasn't in L.A. when that happened.
What do you mean? Like you didn't come?
I'm just devastated that I would have missed it. I got to see Carlin in Baltimore, but
okay, we had the Smothers Brothers, which was weird.
At one time, it was a big deal.
But they came back years later. Mm-hmm. I didn't know all their history, so that was weird. But they were here for a period of time and then left and then came back. But like Mitzi opened that main room, so
also Letterman was like a weatherman in Indiana that came here, and then she gave him a chance. You know,
she did.
She gave him a motherfucking
She gave him
chance.
everything.
Yeah.
Way to stay loyal, buddy. Anyway, no, I'm kidding. No, I'm not. But yes, I'm Team Mitzi. I know I'm biased, but I'm just saying. Like we had Richard Pryor did a year, and he was doing every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.
For a year, he did that?
Yeah, he was very sick. And so this was the late 90s, and his health was declining, obviously. And it got to the point where he was like, I'm only going to do Wednesdays. And I would sit in the manager's office with him and be like, oh, my God, it's Richard Pryor.
Yeah.
Like an idiot, you know. And I'm not a comic, but I still know what's up. It's Richard fucking Pryor,
it's Richard
right?
Pryor. Movie star, comedian, all of it.
And they would play his albums in the basement. We would get in trouble. You know, my brothers were animals, you know, all that shit. And and so we, whatever. So Richard, it got to the point where the door guy, Chewy, our big door guy, would carry him on stage.
Would he sit on stage?
He would sit on stage. And his ex-wife, Jennifer, I think she was his 4th and 7th wife.
Yeah, that's right.
Shout out to Jen. And she was like, Richard asked me for a martini. And I went, he called it a toonie. So I went in the back. I go, yeah, he wants a martini. And his wife came, don't you give him that. Give him water. And I'm like, that's Richard Pryor, bitch. And she was like, give him water. And I was like, fine. Water. So I gave him water because that's how we say it. And it was like this big water. I give it to him and he drank it. He goes on stage and I was ducked down because Mitzi would never allow you to stand. You know, and I'm tall, so I'm hunched, right? I have scoliosis because of this fucking place. So I'm down like this. I'm putting the drink down. Richard goes, see that waitress? And I was just like, me? And I looked to see if my other friend Jem, who was waiting tables with me, I was like, yeah. He goes, she gave me water, bitch.
Nah, dude.
I was like, oh my God, I could die. I could die now because Richard Pryor
seriously
called me a bitch.
Yeah.
I was so happy and mad because Mitzi was like, what's he talking about? And I'm like, I don't know, fucking Jennifer. Like, but he called me out. He knew it was water.
I love that he still had the fucking.
He knew.
I don't remember which award it was, but it was like an image award he was receiving, and he was really sick at the time. And his daughter would hold his sleeves as a wave. She would just hold it. And just,
Rain?
Sort of.
Yeah?
I'm not sure which daughter, and wave his arm to acknowledge it or whatever, and then they wheeled him out onto the stage.
Oh, this is late. So yeah, it's
Very
not
late. He's
Rain.
in a
Rain's
wheelchair.
older. Yeah.
And he's got a blanket over his legs or whatever, and he's skinny, and then they give him this award, and he takes it, and you just see it drop a little bit, and he wheels right up, and he goes, fucking Richard Pryor's
Once
the
he
goat.
once he saw this,
He goes,
that was it.
I'd like to thank y'all for giving me this heavy-ass award. He was so sick he couldn't hold shit. Like a trophy was and it dropped like that. He goes, I'd like to thank y'all for giving me this heavy-ass award. And I laughed so hard. I'm like, this motherfucker is still the king.
Still
dude.
the best. Because once he saw that
He's
microphone,
dying.
that was his life.
He's dying, and there it is. He's still hitting him with it, man. That
Do you-
shit had me howling. Like, I'll listen to whatever you got to fucking say.
If he was still here, that would be amazing. But if he would you put him on your pot? Like, would you beg? Like,
that's a
like,
bucket list guest.
right? Can you imagine?
Beg.
That was a big. Like, the only thing I was upset I never got to do was get Paul Mooney to do the Comedy Store podcast.
That'd have been a great one for
Because
sure.
he was such a Comedy Store guy.
no
You know what I
doubt,
mean?
yeah.
And he was Pryor's guy.
Yeah, he was his guy.
That would have been to me the closest thing.
I mean, think about the 80s just on the Sunset Strip. You've got the comics at the Comedy Store. You got all the hair metal bands, Motley Crue and Van Halen running up. What a time it was, probably from like 78 to 84 on this fucking Sunset Strip.
Dice used to hang out with Guns N' Roses in Ralph's parking lot.
It's
Like,
nuts.
why?
Yeah, I know.
And then they were like, hey, you want to open for us at the Rose Bowl? He's like, I don't see why not. That's 100,000 people.
Yeah,
Oh, my
that's
God.
nuts.
And so he did. He opened the Rose Bowl. I mean, that's fucking insane. But, yeah, they were just hanging out. Can you imagine if we had podcasts back then?
Everybody been canceled. There'd be
Hold on a
nothing.
second.
This place be a parking
You think
lot.
they can hear that? You think they could hear that on this?
This place wouldn't even be here. There'd have been no comedy running.
Everybody's
through
in
the
handcuffs.
Yeah, for real. Everybody's gone.
Even the owner, what's
You're like,
wrong?
"What's
What's a big
wrong?"
deal? We're just getting high and going swimming.
But the legends that have been here. Raylan Nelson, Willie's granddaughter, came and did my podcast, and then came to see me do a show here, and she hung out.
cool.
And she started telling us the story that Willie told her. She calls him Papa Willie, about having his tour bus here one night and was with Richard Pryor and like Burt Reynolds or whatever.
Ooh.
And as we're telling him, Simone's like, come here, that picture's right over here. And then we go to
Yes.
see the picture, but it was missing. So he went online. It's missing off the wall. Like, it's gone.
Somebody stole it?
I don't know. He said they were hanging shit up, so maybe they were replaced. I don't know, but it's missing. And then he went online. He goes, this is the one that was hanging there. She's like, that's the fucking picture. So then we start Googling, and there's other photos of, like, Willie Nelson and Burt Reynolds and Sally Field and
Wow.
Richard Pryor. Like, look at this shit. Yeah, the
Yeah,
history it's been through
'cause
here.
This was like, I mean, not this place, but I mean, West Hollywood, the Mecca was everybody was hanging out. You go to the Rainbow Room, all that shit.
You got the Roxy, the whiskey, everybody right here on this fucking little
Fucking
stretch.
insane. It would have been
Insane.
wild.
Yeah. You could have walked out front and seen any who's who comic and band or whatever just standing out there. It's nuts.
I feel like it was feeling like that BC before Corona here.
No doubt.
You know what I mean? Like I mean, I always had weird moments on waiting tables, and I remember one night I was waiting tables in the original room, and I was like, you know, by the window here. Now they cover it. It was never covered before.
Mhm.
It was like, so if you had to perform at 7, you were like, is that the sun? Am I getting skin
that's
cancer?
That's what I'm talking about when I would do
Is
the
that the
fucking
light or the
That's
sun?
what I'm saying. The sun's up right now. Like, come on, man.
Guys, I usually perform when that goes down. You know, but so I remember I was waiting tables by that window, and I'm bringing drinks, and I'm not paying attention. I'm just trying to make money. I see all my fucking waitresses out there, and I was like, you fucking whores. As I'm putting the drinks out, I'm going to fuck you up. So I put all the drinks down. I come out and go, what are you doing? They're like, oh, my God, do you know who that is? I'm like, no, that's Keanu Reeves. I'm like, get in your section.
Get
is
your
it?
section. Is it? Get them out of here so I can have my
Get
one-on-one
back
with
to your
Keanu.
section. Keanu, can I get you anything else, honey? Like, just Stevie Wonder. Chevy Chase would
This
come
is the
see Richard
place.
Pryor all the
Yeah.
time when he was doing that like
Excuse-
hour when he would come do those
And
Wednesdays.
he's Kaylee's dad. Chevy
Oh yeah,
Chase.
yeah. I sent her a picture. It's me and Mitzi only trusted these 3 waitresses. It was me and this girl Jen and this other girl Lauren. So we got to take a picture with Chevy Chase. Young Eleanor, very funny to look at.
Yeah. You sent it to her?
I sent it to Kaylee.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, my God. I go, yeah, I wasn't always this elderly. I get
Elderly.
people see me as Benjamin Buttons. Like I was just born that way, and I just stayed it. I never got the young part. I just stayed old. But like, okay, so your first podcast, what the fuck was the name of it again? Why
Crab
can't?
Feast.
Because I was gonna say crabs. You got crabs. But the Honeydew too is my favorite. But the Crab Feast, how did you guys come up with that? Like,
Well, that goes back even before Larson. So Matt Fulcheron and I had started
oh,
the
full
Crab
charge.
Feast. Yep,
Okay.
full charge. And then
Is he a Maryland boy?
he is.
That makes more
But
sense.
then he moved to New York, and this was before call-ins or any of that shit. So we had a small following, and he's like, don't kill it. Just keep that fucking thing going. So I did, and I brought in Larson because I just knew he was a natural storyteller. And you know, Jay's whole thing was, I want to do my own. I go, I know you do, but do me a favor. Why don't you get your feet under you before you bounce off and go do your own, and sit here and help me out week after week and just fill in, and we'll see. And I knew he wasn't going to leave.
How long did you guys do it for?
We did it for 7.5 years.
What?
Yeah, so I say all the time, if you listen to 2 episodes a week, it's going to take you over 3 years to get through that library.
Damn.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah, that was a fun one.
And I'm
you were
proud
like,
of that. That was good.
Hey,
that was just a generic storytelling show. So you would come in with like, you know, I got this story about a crazy wedding I went to. I had a near-death experience, a ghost story. It was just generic.
But you also when you said like, hey, send me, I don't know, 5 stories, whatever it was. And so you're just like, oh, let me think. And then you send them. But while you're sending them, this is what I admired about it. I was like, oh, what about this and this and this? I'm like, wait, I'm not going to send this motherfucker a text like that. So I started writing from your, you know, you making me do that just at one time. I think I did it twice. But yeah, it's a good idea.
It's just one line. Like, don't go in, because I don't want to, I'm not a good actor anyway, and I don't want to know what your story is.
No, but I'm saying, like, then I write that story out, like, oh, this shit happened.
And then
forgot
turn it into
about
stand-up.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't done that part yet.
You got all that material sitting right there.
Yeah,
or a book. I mean, you have so many fucking stories.
Yeah, the lion.
You're one of the most
I mean, the
loved
tiger
guests.
is.
The tiger is absurd. By the way, where was I the other night? I was talking to this chick from Philly, and she said Charlie. I go, Jesus fucking Christ! You say Charlie like Eleanor Kerrigan. She's like, it's Charlie.
That's my brother Charlie. I can't never say it wrong. I spell it in my phone like that. He's like, you spell my name wrong. I'm like, it's Charlie.
But the Honeydew is specific to, like, for me, I wanted sort of like the Crab Feast to have a baby. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I love the storytelling aspect of it.
Okay.
Of everyone. But also I got so sick of watching everyone's highlight reels on fucking Instagram and Facebook. And, you know, that's not your real life. It's a highlight reel of your life. You're showing me, here's my great meal, and you're not showing me your addiction.
Right.
You're not showing me the abuse.
Pull up your sleeves, bitch.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where is the person behind all this fucking 30-second bullshit video you just put up, you know? So I call it highlighting the lowlights, and I want to talk about your trauma and your bullshit and laugh about that and celebrate those moments instead of the easy moments. That's where you find out who somebody really is.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
You know, you learn way more from losing than you'll ever learn from winning.
100%.
And, you know, you find out who someone really is when shit's not going. Anybody can be cool when it's going great, but who are you when the shit hits the fan? You know?
Everybody's around you when the shit's
like,
great.
did you cry when you got arrested? Because that's who the fuck you really are.
You
ain't just like, bah, 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 and then they're coming up and you're crying.
I was like, go fuck yourself.
That's who you really
We're talking about practice, bitch.
Other people are getting shoved in the car. Like, oh, my mom's going to kill me. Like, this little fucking bitch right here.
You know what's crazy?
He's telling on us. That's the guy we work with. This motherfucker's about to rat us all out over here. He's crying.
We just lost it with that one. If we had text messages, we'd be like, hey, put a hit out on that motherfucker. Shut the fuck up right now.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, I agree. That's great because I remember like the first time I got this. There was this cop in my neighborhood that I swear she sought after Kerrigan's. She waited. She arrested my brother Charlie. We hate her. Her name, I want to say her fucking whole name. I hate her. So she's probably dead now. Who cares? But so she put me in handcuffs. She throws me in the back of a car, and my friend, who's now a police officer, a policewoman, whatever you want to call it. Can you say officer? Yeah, officer's officer. So now she's a policewoman in Philadelphia. She was kicking the door, going, get her the fuck out of there. You can't fucking lock her up. Right? I'll fucking kill you, punching the thing. And so she lived close to where we were. And as I was like pleading my case, she ran to get her mom, and her mom got me out of it. But my thing is, like, I'm like, Fran, where's your sergeant? Because I want to tell him about you kicking the police car.
Yeah.
And then she's like, as we were talking, I'm breaking her balls on passion. You remember when you robbed that thing? I'm bringing up all the fucking terrible things she did. And her partner's going, you're kidding me. And I'm like, oh, this bitch, she shouldn't have this uniform. I got to be honest.
Should not.
I'm like,
don't touch that badge. I'll burn your ass.
She's like, I don't know why. She talks real fast. So anybody that gets arrested by her, my apologies. Because she'll be like, I don't know what you did, but it goes so fast. You're like, is she real? Is she a fucking robot? So her partner was dying. He's like, please tell me more. I go, give me your number. I'll text it to you. But yeah, so yeah, I love the idea of finding out what you're like in tragedy.
It's the story behind the storytellers. That's what I say all the time.
You've had some tragedy.
Yeah, and fortunately, I've been okay in those moments. Like, it's afterwards I'm a shit show and it all breaks down. But it's been slow motion. And, well, I mean, like, we found my father dead in his bed. So it was 911. It was check his pulse. It was do all these things that you're supposed to do instead
like you're
of just
the guy.
freak out.
You rise up to be the
man.
man.
Then my grandmother dropped dead in front of me. So I had 911 on the phone, and I was a lifeguard. So I told my brother, who's at the top of the steps with her, just staring and panicking, get the fuck down here, get on this phone. And I went up and I started administering CPR and mouth-to-mouth and all that on my grandmother.
Okay.
And then after the fucking paramedics leave and stuff.
Then you fall apart.
Then I put the house back together. Then they called me and told me she didn't make it. And then I crawled up to the top of the steps and I saw her teeth because she had fallen and busted her face, and I started picking her teeth out of the carpet, and that's when I fucking lost it. And then I was good for a minute until I vacuumed her home and I heard teeth rattle around in the old Hoover vacuum,
right
and
now.
I fucking was like, oh, I'm not okay.
Stop it, Grandma. No, that's not good. I can't. And it's going around.
Oh, it's cracking.
You know how you can see through it now? And it just goes.
No, that guy was an old Hoover with the bag on the back.
Bag, you can
but you could hear it.
Yeah, Dyson.
Like a Tic Tac just stuck in there kicking around, you know.
More like a chiclet, but yeah. I hear what you're saying. Like a big
crying,
square. Is that the last of her? Oh my God, Brian, why would you make me say that?
It's the truth, though. That's what really happened.
That's so fucking crazy. Were they real teeth? Like,
yeah, they were.
fake?
Well, she had a partial plate back here, but these motherfuckers were real. These were some real ones.
I like that you laughed.
I don't know what else to do about it.
Exactly.
I've cried so much.
Exactly.
Listen, it's not like I haven't put my time in on the cry side, okay? I banked the cry side. But at this point now, I mean, really? Am I still going to keep crying about it? You know, what am I going to do?
I don't know if I think I waver on how I would act.
I will say this. I'm not cold-hearted. I'm not over it. I'm not done. It was the Christmas before the pandemic.
Okay.
I go into Ralph's. My grandmother's name was Carmela, and I originally was going to name my daughter, thank you, Stella is her name, Carmela.
Okay.
But one of my daughter's mother's friends made fun of it, and then my daughter's mother's like, nah, I don't want to name her that. I'm like, because one friend who still PS doesn't have fucking kids now in her mid-40s, late 40s, wants to fucking...
I don't know why you got to say it to my face.
Why you got to fucking... But if I was like, it's Eleanor. She's changing our name. She didn't even have kids.
I don't carry the full term.
Bitch is barren. She'd fucking...
I'm Trump's kid. Fucking barren, bitch.
Like that. Anyway, I named my company Stella Carmela to keep the name. Okay. And I'm in this grocery store at Ralph's, and I asked this lady for some cold cuts and shit, and I go, I'm going to be right back. And she's an Italian lady. She goes, stay right here. Talk to me. And we start talking, and, you know, I'm telling her about my Italian relatives and how I didn't know that, you know, everyone in my family was Italian. So no matter what house we bounced to during the holidays, because my father's dad is like German, Dutch, Welsh, mutt. Everyone else is DeMemo, DeVito, Kumbadi, everybody. But he's the fucking Sickler.
Okay.
So every house we're bouncing to, on my mom's side too, she's 100%. My dad's mom is 100%. His dad was the European mutt.
Got it.
But everywhere I go, it's Italian. So when I start dating girls in high school and stuff, and now my dad's dead, everybody's gone, I'm going over, and I say all the time, like, this one lady, my girlfriend at the time, Mrs. Pagels, her mom lit this fucking cake on fire.
That's amazing.
And I was like, what fucking God do you all worship over here? Like, where the fuck's the ziti? You know what I mean? Where's the lasagna? And they're like, what are you talking about?
No fucking baked ziti?
That's when it dawned on me, like, oh, we have all the traditional plus all this shit. You know? So that was the Italian side of it.
So why'd they set the cake on fire?
It was some rum shit she
was it
poured
my
on. They
birthday
were
Party?
British.
Oh,
it was
okay.
like
the British, they fuck shit up. I don't
like,
know why
"Come on,
people are
you're
talking
gonna
to the
eat that?"
British.
You're gonna eat that, huh?
You're
Light
good
shit
with
on
that?
fire.
You're good with that? Okay. That is weird. I like it. Yes. He's giving us the 50.
Oh, because I gotta get my spot.
Yeah. But to me, like, okay, so now you have the Honeydew, and that's doing, if not bigger than the Crab Feast.
I mean, way bigger.
Yeah,
Thank
but
God.
you built that. That's
I did.
amazing.
Listen, with the help of Tom Segura, Christina Pajitsky, everybody at YMH.
Yes.
You know, and Rogan, of course, helping out. And, and Bert and all these guys pitching in. And just also naturally, like, everyone's been so supportive. They're just out there on their own podcast talking about it. And they don't tag me or tell me. Someone's like, yo, they're fucking talking about how good of an interviewer you are. I'm like, oh, my God, thank you so much. And, like, to hear that my name's mentioned among these people in these rooms blows me away. So I'm very, very grateful. But yeah, I've been fortunate enough to build it. And well, once the pandemic hit and I had to homeschool, I couldn't get out to the valley where Tom's studio was, and I was like, I can't fucking do that. So he was like, you're not going to get sponsors anymore. We're not going to make enough money. You're not going to make enough money taking the percentage you're taking. Stand-up's gone. You have for the foreseeable future at that time, we don't know how long. You've got to go do this on your own so that you can take the lion's share of that money, or else you're not going to make enough money.
Yeah.
And he was 100% right.
That's
amazing.
amazing.
So he pushed me, but he helped me, gave me equipment. He had helped with his producers, like all of it. So I have that whole family of people to thank over there, you know. And the thing I love, too, I tell Tom, like, this is my family business. It's not a brick or mortar. Or brick and mortar. It's not that.
Right.
This is my family business. And for Tom and Christina, that's a 2022 family business they have 100%. Over there. All of us.
And they are
killing it.
Segura is another one I always use as an example because I vaguely remember him showcasing here.
I don't think he was a regular until his name got big, right?
No. No offense, but he's part of the credit store. Not that I love Tom.
Mean?
I tease Tom. I mean, not Tom. I tease Adam about there was people that he brought in that should have been here, just never were.
Got it.
So because they have a lot of credits, you know what I mean? Like David Spade,
right?
He was never a Comedy Store comic, just is Adam's friend.
Right.
Adam's the town coordinator. He holds the keys to the kingdom. Smart move.
But also he should be.
100%.
Yeah.
Smart move.
Right.
Can I break Adam's balls? Absolutely.
Yes.
But, you know, we tease him.
I see
we
what
changed
you
it
mean.
to
So
the
that's
credit.
what you call it.
Tom Segura is a draw.
Yeah.
He's a huge draw.
Huge.
That's a great man to get on your. But here's the thing. He showcased, I think maybe once or twice. I remember him at Potluck. And then I never saw him again. When I heard the name, I'm like, that's a unique name. So I was like, oh, that guy. Oh, yeah, I remember him. And then, but he didn't get in. So did he stay here and dwell on it? Fuck if he did.
No.
Is he one of the first people to have a Netflix fucking special
Yep.
that just did amazing numbers? Absolutely. Because when somebody doesn't fuck with you, you find who fucks with you.
That's right. But also, it's not bitter, just go
100%.
off. I still worked here
You
over
know
all
you're
these
funny.
years. They weren't saying you can't work here.
That's right.
You're just not a regular. You don't do OR spots until
Fine.
you put your time in and do it. Okay.
There's millions of other spots.
That time will happen. It'll come.
Yeah.
And look, in 22 years, like, some people aren't even here anymore.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's a fucking crazy thing to be. I thought about this. Like, my dad died at 42. I didn't start getting any sort of success until after 42. And I thought, oh, my God, I could have died and missed even this 5 fucking years. It's been great, except for the pandemic.
I've never had success. But I like to pretend I do, and you know, it's exciting. But like doing this, I remember like during the pandemic. You're right. You're like, fuck. How do I make money? Tom letting you do that. That's
thank God, because there was no
That's a fucking man, by the way.
It is. But also, and a friend, a real fucking friend. And a great business mind.
Yeah.
But also, it's now it's easy to think about, but unfathomable to think about if I told you, hey, stand-up's not going to even be a thing. Where, at the Comedy Store? No.
Anywhere.
At all.
Yeah.
For a year and a half. At all. And you're like, huh? The one thing I have devoted my entire fucking life.
Here's the thing
I've
I got
left
good.
every relationship.
Guess what I'm good at?
The thing we can't do
Try
anymore.
explaining that to, like, when you're trying to get unemployment. They're like, well, what do you do? Here's the thing. Where are you from? What do you do?
You got a quick 5? I'm going to run this by you.
I got a tight 5 I need to do for you so I can
Speaking of which,
get
I
paid.
think I got to get my ass up
Yeah,
there.
we're going to get you up there. So wait, this
I
is
gotta
a question
pee so
we've been
bad.
asking, too.
Can I pee first?
No,
Is there a bathroom
you're going
down
to
here?
say this one
All right,
second. You're
okay.
not going to get a UTI.
All right.
If there wasn't stand-up other than your podcast, what would you do?
I'd be working at UPS still. Shout out to UPS Baltimore Hub, Primary 1, Joe Avenue. I'd be a supervisor at this point. Like, I'd be a big wig. I was already
By
a
the
supervisor
way,
in my 20s.
I could see you in the brown.
I was good at it.
Fuck yeah, that's pretty killer. All right, go pee. I
I
love
love
you. Well, anything to promote other than listen to the Honeydew.
Come see me on tour. Tickets available at RyanSickler.com. I'm all over the place.
By the way, I'm pretending like we have as many followers as he does. But I will continue to pay. You guys want to watch him pee? Because I can take the camera up there. Guys, do not forget, check out Rick Ingram's album. It's American Bully. It's already #1. It's fucking Rick's the best. He's not here tonight because he has kids and they're needy little fuckers. So, but yes, check out the Comedy Store podcast. Come to the Comedy Store. I'm fixing my website tomorrow, so I'll have all my dates up on my website. I love you guys. Thanks for listening. Ryan Sickler, the best. Went up to piss. All right.